So what we got here is our eco garden. We've got everything salvaged, all the landscaping, the bluestone, the brick, the stones, the wooden steps. It's all salvaged. It's a work in progress, but the idea is to create a garden that didn't produce, or we didn't have to produce any new materials for it. It's just stuff that was going to be thrown away. And the plants are all native. They're native, pretty much native to the Long Island, New York region. And again, that's a big experiment. We're learning as we go what likes to be where. Believe it or not, sunflowers are actually very native, and we didn't plant that sunflower over there, that big one. I think it's got to be 10, 12 foot tall. That one just kind of grew. It's from a batch of wildflower seeds that I threw in last spring. Then you got your ferns, you got your blueberries, some raspberries. I don't know if raspberries are native actually, but I know blueberries are. The grasses. Then over here we've got what's going to be a natural pool. Natural because it won't need any chemicals or anything to clean the water. The plants and the surrounding filtration zone will clean it for us. So that'll be a cool little swimming pool. Again, a big experiment. Typically you meant to make them much larger, but I'm just seeing if I can do it in a condensed size. Everything we're doing here, we're trying to find solutions to the most ecological brownstone. So as we do our brownstones for our clients, we really know what we're doing, and just constantly pushing the envelope, trying to just make it more and more and more ecological. These plants I got from two different places. One was some of the plants were being thrown out, so they weren't pretty enough for Lowe's, so they threw them out. And so I guess like those some of the plants here are not native, and it's just because they're salvaged, but they're not invasive, and I think it's a nice balance between salvage and ecological. The other plants I got, some of them from this place in Long Island, in Montauk. I forget the name of them. They're a professional distributor. They only distribute to other distributors. And then here locally, the place that I like to go to is the Gowanus Nursery. Michelle, she's very, very knowledgeable, very real plant person. And then some of them I got through seeds, native seeds.
If the plants are non-native, you said invasive, they can be invasive. What do you mean by that?
Well, you can have native plants that are local and they've been here for thousands of years, and they can be invasive, meaning they're just very aggressive. They'll push other plants out of the way. And you don't want a mono ecology where there's just one plant really limits the amount of supporting ecologies that can live there in terms of animals and bugs and just birds. And so the more diverse the environment of plants is, the more diverse the environment of fauna is. Mm-hmm. So you want to essentially just reproduce in a miniature level, in a brownstone level, what it would be like in nature. The reason it's important to have non-invasive plants, or the reason it's important to have native plants, is that a plant that spent 2,000 years evolving in, say, China has a whole set of friends and allies, and then friends and foes, plants that and animals that keep it in check, both by eating it or by being stronger than it or whatever, and also other plants that harmonize with it and create an environment that other animals want to live in. the moment you take it out of that environment and you plop it down here, it no longer has those allies and those foes. So obviously the ones that are here are the ones that were brought here and survived.
Right.
So it's really what you're worried about is the plant coming here and not having any foes. And what it'll do is it'll just take over and it'll kill the local environment. The other thing is that it's built specifically to be friendly to specific kinds of animals and other plants. Those plants are not here. So it's really not benefiting the local environment. The local plants and animals are not going to synergize with that plant. So it can create what's called a dead zone, or it can just take over the environment. A classic example is this tree from China, this guy right here. I cut it down because it was a very, very large tree, and I just cut off the stump because I plan on making a kind of like a playhouse around it. But notice that it grew back immediately. So it's a very, very aggressive plant, and it doesn't offer the qualities that the local birds and the local insects like. So it just kind of creates this island that's not interacting with the environment, and that can be a large problem if we got a lot of those, because we just have lots of those trees, but not the supporting birds and the supporting bugs to live in that. It's so aggressive that the logs that we cut off that are just lying over here actually started sprouting. You know, not in the ground, nothing, just sitting there, they start sprouting. It's a problem tree, and the Parks and Recreation Department recommend we cut it out whenever we can. So that's a situation where it's counterintuitive. As a green builder, you think we want as many trees as possible. No, we want specific trees, specific plants that is in harmony with the environment. So it takes a lot of knowledge.